I've got the Knicks at number 6. They lost size with Isaiah Hartenstein leaving, which we'll talk about here in a second, but still have Mitchell Robinson, who was a beast defensively when he's healthy, especially at the beginning of last season. I mean, he was getting some DPOY buzz, I think, in like the first couple of months of the year. Then obviously he got hurt. You add OG Anunoby to the mix for a full season. If he could stay healthy, that's awesome. They had an absurd 101.8 defensive rating with Anunoby on the court last year, which is just, that's bananas. Mikal Bridges, they add him. They still have Josh Hart, still have Dante DiVincenzo. They're just competitive MFers on that defense who are going to switch everything, muck up everything, get everything into the mud. They're going to flatten out every pick and roll. They're going to fight over every screen. They're going to do whatever it is that they need to do. And you still have Tom Thibodeau at the head of this thing. They're always going to have a little bit of a defensive identity. I think Julius Randle is going to give them more effort on that end too. Will be interesting to see what these defensive looks look like with him at the 5, as Thibodeau was kind of talking about earlier. But there's just so much perimeter defensive talent that despite the questions I have interior, especially if Mitchell Robinson or Randall or any of these guys get hurt, despite that, I still think there's enough perimeter talent here and good coaching to keep them at sort of in this range.
Well, one, I think, Tibbs is the second best defensive coach in the game right now. And I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I think he's just behind Spo, and you can argue that could be flip-flopped. I wouldn't be mad at anybody who'd want to do that. I think their perimeter defense is going to be so damn good. It's actually not going to be that big of a problem about their interior until there's injuries. Like OG gets hurt, man. Like that's kind of the concern with OG. It's been a while since we've seen him play a full season. He gets banged up. It's, Tibbs wears guys down.
And with OG, it's not if, it's when, right? Or for how many,
So it's like you are a little bit concerned with that stuff. But again, I just think they're so good on the perimeter. It's going to be so hard to drive on them. The rotations, the switching, and everything like that should be pretty seamless with that. I know teams are going to try to attack Brunson and try to attack Randall, but they're going to have a lot of areas where they're going to be able to protect those guys in large portions there. And I think that goes a long way for the Knicks there. I think they're going to be one of the better defensive teams. I think, you're right on that track there. It's going to be interesting. And they probably have 2 defensive player of the year candidates in OG and Bridges. You can make an argument for that. Doesn't matter, folks. Wemby's winning. But like the whole, but the fact that they have 2 candidates is something that most teams can't even really speak about. And I think that's really a big thing. And they're both on the perimeter. It makes a big difference for them.
My biggest concern with them is defensive rebounding. If they go small, crashing the boards, that could just be made difficult for them. Isaiah Hartenstein, losing him as a defensive rebounder is huge. And if one of these guys get hurt, if they play small, but that's where coaching comes in, right? That's Thibodeau. Hey, box out your bodies, get to the basket, crash, get there first, all those things. That's going to be the coaching part of it. And you can coach your way into a decent rebounding team. You really can. You're not going to be elite, but you could be you could hover above league average.
I don't know so much if you can coach your way into it as much as these guys just have to go do it. It has to be their guards.
Yeah.
They all have to be there. They have to be. Yeah. It has to be gang rebounding. I mean, that's going to be something he's going to preach and hammer and nail with those guys. But they have to actually do it. Like they have to put in the work and bang the boards as much as possible. They need to be on top of it. It needs to be, Bridges has to have big rebounding numbers from his position. OG is going to be playing the 4.
I like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, man. Those guys, I said, MFers.
But they have to lead their position in defensive rebounding. Yeah. Like, it can't be really – that's the thing. That's the fall off with losing Hartenstein. Like, that's the thing. Like, you have to lead your positions in rebounding or be in the top 3. Like, that's how important it's going to be for the DiVincenzos, for the Josh Hart guys, and so on. Like, that's got to be the drum that Tibbs is banging on.